You can, with great confidence, go out and spend $20 to sell a $10 thing.
Right.
If I know that the average person that buys a $10 thing goes on to buy $123 worth of stuff from me in the next 30 days, then hell yeah, bring it on. How many more can I get? The beauty to it when you do it that way is you acquire a lot more buyers into your hopper.
I know it's hard for you to keep up with me, but that's what I wanted to point out was the simple principles of
terrified, petrified, stupefied in all of your intelligence.
What the is wrong?
It's
like
a
what?
Joke. This is really applicable oftentimes to B2B, but it's applicable to everything. This is where the real money comes in. Here's where people screw up acquisition. And I'll tell you, number one, welcome back to the Trainwreck Show, the most entertaining podcast on the interwebs about marketing, business growth, operations, all that shit nobody really wants to hear about. Here with your host, Perry Belcher, the unstoppable force of growth, and the wizard of ops, Miss Emma Rainville, the unmovable boulder of operations. Hey, welcome back to the show, girl.
Thanks, Perry.
You're welcome. I'm trying to be complimentary here.
You're trying.
Best I could do.
You literally are choking on your words as you're saying them. That's the funniest part. Well, today we are going to talk about a really interesting topic, something that we teach regularly.
Something we build a whole business around.
Well, I was going to get there. Something that we teach regularly.
Build a whole business around it. Yeah.
At all of our masterminds and groups, and something that we've built all of our businesses around.
I already said that twice.
That is
Emma just got bleeped out.
Something we built all of.
I'm going to get one of those fart machines that when you say something I don't like, I'm just going to press it. It's going to fart into the microphone. I think it'll be great. Make a note of that. That's important.
One of the things that we have structured all of our businesses around, which is the magic boxes. And so if you want to just take away what the boxes are and how they work and how we structure businesses, and I'll just attempt to sit here and listen to you.
It's actually the 4 magic boxes.
I said that.
No, you said the 4 boxes.
I said the 4 magic boxes. 100%. Rewind it, Chris.
She said magic boxes. She didn't say 4. So basically, going all the way back to the formation of Digital Marketer, and even before that, are there businesses that I had prior to Ryan and I being in business, and now, you know, I've always built businesses on this grid, but it was kind of an informal grid of 4 boxes of kind of awareness, right? And how you take people down the path. And it doesn't matter. Everybody's like, yeah, this has to do with internet funnels and all that. It doesn't matter at all. We're in the septic tank cleaning business and the concrete leveling business and the outsourcing business and the convention trade show managing business. It doesn't matter what the business is. These rules apply across the board.
Fundamentally across the board to anybody in business. And what that means is if you have something that you trade to someone for money.
Yeah. A good or a service. It doesn't
works.
matter. Yeah.
It works.
Yeah, it absolutely works universally. And that's why I think it's become so popular. And when we started the Ignite Mastermind for people from 0 to 1 million, we kind of taught this concept. I taught this before at Digital Marketer. I taught it at, but with the high level people, with the people in War Room back when there was a War Room. Now with our high level people in Driven, we've never really taught it to
publicly
to people that are, you know, less than already doing millions of dollars a year. But it's really important that you foundationally build this way. And we do this thing now. Emma and I do a thing called Make It Real, where you come in and you've got a concept, just an idea, and we make that thing real. And we
or you think you have a business, but you're not functioning as a business structurally. You don't have an LLC, right? It's your.
Or you bought yourself a job.
Hustling, right? You're hustling for cash. You purchased yourself a job instead of a business.
Yeah, they call it side hustle now. You should call it a half-ass effort at a business.
Right.
That should be be the real name of it. It shouldn't be called a side hustle. So really, there are four boxes to any of these businesses, and the boxes are number 1, acquisition. Well, let's talk about them one at a time rather than give you the overview, and we'll run through the overview at the end.
Okay.
So there are 4 boxes. So if you don't understand acquisition and getting people into your business, getting them interested in what you're doing, either via, for years it's been, well, how do we get them to opt in? How do we get them to become a lead? How do we get them to call on the phone or whatever? That doesn't make them a customer. they're still a prospect at that point. And, I kind of fathered this thing called the tripwire, which I didn't really father. I just stole it from somebody else who did it years ago in a different way. But it's basically getting somebody to buy something that's very, 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 very low risk to show that they have enough interest in what you do to spend some
in the topic.
money. In the topic, to spend some money. And the amount of money they're going to be willing to spend there is very low because their mentality at that point is just curiosity.
But the money that you spent to acquire them is also very low.
It's very low.
Right.
So the idea is that, these platforms have figured traffic out. If you're selling a $500 thing, it's going to cost you hundreds of dollars to sell it. Chances are, if you're buying media to it. If you're selling a $50 thing, it's going to cost you $39.50 to sell it if you're lucky, right? If you're selling a $10 thing, it's going to cost you $10 or $20 to sell it. So one of the things you actually, yes, it'll cost you less money to acquire, but it'll cost you a higher percentage of your revenue to acquire. So let me explain that. Like if I'm going to do a $10 tripwire item on the front as an acquisition device, I might spend $20 to sell that. So I'm spending 200% rather, not 200 times, thank God, 200% of what I'm going to bring in revenue to sell that thing in ad cost. And if you look at a company like Agora that I worked with for a long time, they may spend as much as 5 times their front end sale in ad cost, which is not unusual for them, either by affiliate commissions or by a paid media. So why would they be willing to do that? Well, you're only willing to do that if you understand the mathematics, right? Going back to the concept that this business is about emotions and mathematics. That's the only two things that really matter, emotions and mathematics. So if you understand the math of your business and you know what your average customer value in a 30-day, 90-day, 60-day, 120-day, 360-day cycle is, you can with great confidence go out and spend $20 to sell a $10 thing.
Right.
If I know that the average person that buys a $10 thing goes on to buy $123 worth of stuff from me in the next 30 days, like we do in some of our businesses, we know that math, then hell yeah, bring it on. How many more can I get? The beauty to it when you do it that way is you acquire a lot more buyers into your hopper. Frank Kern's a great friend of mine. And we had, when I came up with the tripwire offer, Ryan and I were running digital marketer and we just murdered it. We just slayed the market. We had everything going the right way. There was an economic depression. People had less money to spend. They had lower limits on their credit cards. And Frank was the king ding-a-ling at the time. Frank was selling more than anybody until DM kind of crept up on him and took over for a while. And Frank called me one day. He says, one more sumbitch calls me and asks me what their fucking tripwire needs to be. I'm going to come shove it up your ass, And then the next thing I know, he's selling every product that he owns for $4.
$4, yeah.
And because he realized that it really is the way to go. Because if you don't create a mass of buyers in your business, and you'll never have the stability of a mass, right? Having a stability of a mass, I call it the netting versus spearfishing theory. Like I like to go out and cast a net, pull up everything into the boat, right? I'm going to get used tires, aluminum cans. I'll sell aluminum cans to a recycler. I'll sell the used tires somewhere. I'll shred them and make park swings out of them. But eventually you're going to pull up some trash fish, and in there maybe somewhere is a tuna or two, right? I prefer that method over going out trying to spearfish for tuna. It's really hard to spearfish for tuna. You don't know online who you're talking to, because we've talked about this a lot. Poor people lie and say they got a lot more money than they got, and rich people lie and say they got a lot less money than they got. So surveying and all that shit, you don't ever know, right? You know based on how much money, how many of those people actually pull out their wallet and make a purchase. And we learned that.
Or how many Bentleys they post online. That pretty means they're broke.
Yeah.
That pretty much always means they're broke. They got a Porsche and a Bentley posted online. They're doing it like just pumping gas this morning.
Yeah.
Probably broke.
It's crazy the difference though, when you just wait for them to vote. That person who spends $10 with you, by the way, statistically, is 20 times more likely to spend more money with you in the next 30 days. Right. Versus somebody who just became an opt-in lead.
And what about later? I just want to touch on this because this is something that I don't really hear you talk about often, but I know you do. once you have those leads, you have them forever, and you don't know where someone's going to be a year from now or 2 years from now. And you do a really good job of keeping them on your list interested. You sell to them, but you also keep them interested with a lot of goodwill. So it's a pipeline for you too.
Yeah, it really is. And
long term, it is the 30 days that we're casting. It's certainly the 30 days we're casting, but you've got the second marshmallow thing going on where you have, right?
Yeah, I would bet probably better than me because you know my numbers better than I know my numbers.
According to you.
But actually just paid her a compliment. Chris, you got to remind me not to do that. It's a bad idea. You see how she goes?
He's talking to his make pretend. Pa. He's not there. There's no one there. That's an invisible
She can't
friend.
just accept a compliment and say thank you. She always has to have some smart ass remark after the cut.
Do you want to move on?
Okay. So I'd say probably 40% of our revenue comes over from people who buy 90 days into the cycle. Maybe longer. That's
actually a number I don't know, and I probably should. That's a really interesting.
The people that come in, because they come in for a thing and they decide, I don't want that thing. The thing that
over time you show them.
The thing that I do very differently, and it creates a lot of work in my business, is I'm constantly putting out new. I'm constantly putting out something new. There's a new concept. There's a new item. There's a new widget, right? Because new sells, man. New beats everything. New creates an itch in people, right? And you just have to slide your product in there, kind of like a calamine lotion. Really, new is
like a calamine lotion.
It creates an itch.
I thought it soothed an itch.
That's right. Your product soothes.
Oh wow, that took me a minute to catch up. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
I'll stop using big words and I'll talk slower for you.
Thanks, Kentucky.
Yeah. So so seriously though, you want to get people in to your world for a lot of reasons. We talk about, and I'm going to do an in-depth on this, the 7-11-4 principle, getting people to consume 7 hours of your content in 11 different interactions, 4 different ways will bond somebody to you, right? So if they don't start consuming
wound them to you if they're listening to you.
If they don't start consuming your stuff. So here's where people screw up acquisition. And I'll tell you, acquisition number one, it's like the National Enquirer going through the supermarket. You got to have a product that stirs curiosity in someone, something that they don't think they've seen before. If it is something they've seen before, you have to put it in a new wrapper. Like we just did a workshop called lead laundering.
Yeah.
And it was about lead arbitrage. Really, it was a list building product. If I'd said, hey, we're going to do a course on list building.
No one would have showed up. No one would have bought. Then we wouldn't have sold anything on the back end. We sold
hundreds instead, right? So we sold hundreds of people into this live workshop.
Hundreds and hundreds.
Because we made it different.
Right.
Right. I just did one on SaaS. That's 60-minute SaaS, how to create SaaS software in 60 minutes. That just sounds absurd, right? If I just said, hey, I'm going to show you software building, everybody's heard 50 horror stories of people losing their house because they gave some Indian programmer or Pakistani programmer, no offense against people to blow people up, but they gave them a bunch of money and they stole it all, right? So they just lost their retirement or whatever. So nobody would have wanted to tune in for that probably, to do a, build one in 2 months or 3 months or 6 months or however long by getting all these outsourcers and paying them all this money across the world and all that shit. People don't want to do that. But the 60-minute thing turned them on, right? Anytime you can put a new spin on it, it's even better if it's actually something that is brand new.
Right.
If it's a brand new concept, you're always going to kill if you're the first to break with it. Breaking news always kills. But even if it's not, you can take it out a little bit, right? So, but then you just need to get somebody to raise their hand with their wallet in it and buy a little bit of something. It might be like we run a lot of other businesses that have nothing to do with the sale of information. I have a survival business.
Most of the businesses that we do have nothing to do with the sale of information.
Yeah. So we sell survival gear. We sell gun accessories, beauty products, food. In the survival business, for instance, we have gadgets. Right. These are low-dollar gadgets that we import from China, and sometimes we're just drop shipping them, right?
Right.
Frankly, because all we want is just one transaction to get them over the hump. And I can sell them a credit card knife, and then maybe I can sell them a cigarette lighter charger for their car battery, and then sell them a generator for their house for $1,000 in the next step of the process. Once you get somebody in, you accomplish a lot of things. Number one, they bought something from you. make sure that that transaction's value is multiple times what you charge them, because that's what they're going to judge you on where they decide to make the next transaction. A lot of people say, well, okay, I'm going to do this cheap, shitty thing, and I'll sell my cheap, shitty thing for cheap, shitty money, and then they'll buy my big thing. No, they won't. You got to demonstrate that you delivered multiple times value of the first purchase in order for them to make the second purchase. And if the second purchase delivers multiple times value to the third, et cetera, et cetera. The minute that you break that cycle, that the value of that thing is lower than the amount of money they paid for it, you've breached their trust. And they're probably not going to continue to buy through your funnel. Okay.
They're likely not going
to. You may be able to win them back over time. And the thing is, by introducing more and more low ticket items, right, you are able to get more and more people the opportunity to buy from you. Like, for instance, we do these workshops. They're usually about $100. I do a live workshop almost every month teaching a concept. It's a deliverable for our Ignite Mastermind. Right.
But it's a good, let's touch on that for a moment, because they walk away with the understanding and knowledge, but also the ability to execute on the thing you taught. So to go back, like
with tools, with software,
with lead laundering, they walked away and they had the ability to generate thousands of leads the day it concluded. With 60-minute SaaS, they walked away with the ability they're building software like crazy and posting it for each other to use. So you're not just delivering nonsense, you're delivering a quality item to people, and now they're attached. You've attached them to you.
When I build those things, I build them saying this has got to be the equivalent of $1,000 course. For $100.
Right.
So if they
not some bullshit, come learn with me.
Right. And because of that, 22% of people on average that go to those workshops end up joining Ignite at between $3,000 and $5,000. So it's a crazy number, where if I put that in a funnel, just a normal funnel, I'd get 2 or 3% conversion. When I'm doing it live, you get a lot more. Right. But in whatever you're selling, that first box can be $100. That first box can be $10. It just depends on the market you're in. That first box could be $2. I don't know. First box could be $1,000. I'll give you an example. We had a $1,000 tripwire offer for Platter. I had a social media agency with $7,000 a month. We managed social media for large corporations. The first offer was a $1,000 audit. That was box one. You discovered for $1,000 what you didn't know. And then if you wanted to sign up for $7,000 a month in step 2, you could do that. And then there was still a step 3 and a step 4 to that. So this model works no matter where you're at. But where it works really well is I use laminated sheets a lot as a tripwire. I use gadgets. I use decision dice. GPTs right now, creating custom GPTs in OpenAI.
I think that this is important because
fire.
Yeah, I think that this is important because a lot of people think tripwire has to be a physical product. I've seen that taught.
It's better than it is.
I don't know. I don't know when it comes to GPTs.
Yeah, GPTs
I don't know.
Are hot.
I think GPTs will far beat some frother. I'm just saying,
maybe.
Some earbuds. I think
it depends on what your market is. If your market's coffee drinkers, the frother is going to kill it, right?
Fair.
It all depends on the market. But you're right. Like Martha Critch is one of our driven members. She just did a GPT, said, hey, I just made this GPT, posted to Facebook, got over 1,000 leads out of one GPT. So, and that thing, they got in there, they get to GPT and they go, holy crap, I got this for free, or I got this for, I would argue, by the way, Martha, if you're watching, you should have sold it for $7. Because at least you'd have a credit card number.
Well, now she has the list to sell it.
And a transaction would have been under your belt, right?
Well, now she has the list to sell it.
So there's always, by the way, the easiest thing to sell next is a bigger, better version of the thing you sold in the first place.
Right.
So if you sold them one GPT, now you sell them a bucket of 20 GPTs for your next thing. So it's the easiest just to make another transition. Or if you sold them a small community with a newsletter, next thing to do is sell them a private community with more benefits, So, GPTs, micro SaaS, any of that sort of stuff is good. I took my glasses off so they don't glare. So I'm going to look real quick so I don't miss my note. Yeah. Oh, let me talk about books, because a lot of people go, oh, I got it. I'll sell my book. That'll be my tripwire offer, will be my book. On average, to sell a $7 book costs around $40. Books don't sell well as tripwires.
Right.
Now I'll tell you a trick, a really good hack right here. So books don't sell well as tripwires. Why? They imply work. The book implies I've got to read it. They imply this is going to consume a great deal of my time. And 4 out of 5 books I buy now suck. They're no good, right?
Right.
So this guy's going to send me some worthless book that's going to be a sales pitch disguised as a book. I'm going to burn up 3 hours of my life reading it, and I'm going to get nothing out of it other than go to the next step and buy my shit, right? Which is what most lead magnet books are today, frankly. And people are turned on to that. Now, that being said, there's a flip side to that coin. If you can get them to buy a book and you are selling coaching, information, courses, whatever, there'll be no better lead than a book buyer. They'll be your best possible lead because they're more committed. So how do you get them to buy a book without it being a book? Ryan Dice and I were in business for many, many years in digital marketing. He wrote a book. We didn't write it. He wrote a book called The Invisible Selling Machine. It was a great little book and put it out to our audience who loved Ryan. And he was just expecting gangbusters. Everybody's going to go buy the book. They didn't. When he faulted the book, when he faulted the title, when he faulted Ryan, it was just a book, right? We bundled it. It got like a 2%, 2.3% conversion rate, I think, to a warm list. We bundled it with a digital marketer I'm Smarter t-shirt and went to over 11%. So we bundled the book with the t-shirt. If you do that, by the way, there's another nuance to that. Sell the book with the bonus of the gift. Don't sell the gift with the bonus of the book. Bonuses are looked at as valueless by a lot of people. So we said, hey, when you get Invisible Selling Machine, we're going to give you this awesome shirt, right? Or like in the survival business, we have a book called The Ultimate Survival Guide that was very hard to sell. But now if you get the Ultimate Survival Guide, you get this credit card knife to go with it as our bonus. That works like a champ. So you really want to get your book out to people because books are thought shifting and they give you a lot of authority. But that's box one. So box one is just creating something that people are curious enough about. They're willing to risk a small amount of money to make an impulse purchase to buy. And that puts them in, what I call a super hot list. A hot list is whoever's opted in. The super hot list is whoever's opted in and spent a little bit of money. Now, the beauty is when you're using tripwires, if you're using a 2-part order form, a 2-step order form, where first step is you fill out name, email address. Second step, you fill out shipping address and you pay with your credit card. You're still getting the opt-ins. You're still getting as many opt-ins as you would get on just about any other opt-in form. So you're not sacrificing anything. You're not losing anything. You're just gaining opt-ins. And then in the second step, you're gaining buyers. So you may have 100 people hit the web page, 50 of them fill out step 1. Now you got 50 leads. 10 of them buy the thing. They buy the widget. Right. So now you've got a 10% conversion rate to the widget, which is kind of standard. Right. And if you're doing less than 10, you're probably not doing a great job with delivery. The framework there is about 10% for these low ticket items. And you're just winning in both directions, right? You're building your email list, you're building your buyer's list, and you've got a credit card. And now with one-click upsell technology, you've what I call greased the chute to the next purchase. You've made it really easy for them to just hit one button on the next step and buy something.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks for the commentary on that.
Well,
it's great to have this co-host here. Riveting, really. Well, it's great. She just woke up.
Well, you're boring me to death, so that should say something.
Yeah. She just woke up this morning, and I think that it was particularly hard to knock all the dirt off her coffin and get her out. Okay. So step 2, box 2. Once you've acquired them, now you're going to go to step 2, the second box, which this is what everybody knows, right? This is no big secret, but this is the upsell. This is upsell number 2. So our upsell number 1, immediately after the tripwire sale, you're going to offer them something else. Most of the time in this box, it's going to be a training, some sort of a course, a community, but it doesn't have to be. It could be, I've had tripwire offers where the tripwire was personalized doggy tags, right? For like $6.95. And the next upsell was membership in a pet owners association that came with a bonus of a bowl, a personalized mat, or whatever. So this is not applicable only to information. It doesn't matter. So what you're usually selling there is a membership that has a premium. In other words, you brought them in with a gift so you can give them another gift to buy the next thing. It's a membership. It's a course. It's a community. It could be practically anything. If it's information, the objective here is to build that buyer's confidence in themselves. So let's say, for instance, that you wanted to climb Mount Everest. You know, you've always thought about climbing Mount Everest, and you saw an ad that popped up. It said, "Hey, get the easiest map ever to climb Mount Everest, just $7." So you say, I always want to do that. So I'm going to get this map and these tips to climbing Everest. The next step of that process is, hey, would you like my full-blown course with all my maps, everything that you need to climb Everest, all the experiences of all the other people that have climbed Everest before you, interviews with the top Sherpas that know this better than anything else. Would you like to buy that? Well, if you're serious about climbing Everest, you might, right? And you're going to have the Sherpa there to help you, right? You're going to have the people there to interview. So what's that do? That increases your confidence level that you can do that thing. Whatever that your Everest is, it increases your confidence level that you can do it. And that's the only reason you have that second step. The problem is most people right there, that's where they stop. That's the water line, I call it, where they go, okay, that's it. I sold them a tripwire. Now I sold them a $300 thing. I'm out, right? If I can make that work, then I've got a business. And what you'll usually find is you can make that work. If you do a good job of it, you might be able to make that $300 worth of ticket there for, $250. And you make a little bit of money until one day you don't, because the platform changed or there's a competitor that enters the market or whatever. But you haven't figured out the second, the third, and the fourth box. And this is what really separates the amateurs from the professionals in this business. If you look at anybody in our business, like a Tony Robbins or me or Frank Kern or any of these guys that have been doing millions of dollars a year for years and years and years, they have all four boxes filled out. So what's the third box? Well, the third box is speed and automation. And that box is typically tools, things that make the job easier or faster to complete. And a lot of times that's software. Software is a great fit right there, like more full-blown software. Like in our Ignite Mastermind group, we have a software called Springboard. It's 34 pieces of software put together that can completely run a business.
Any business.
Yeah, completely run any business. It might be software. It might be a live event or live workshops. Some people that get involved in a thing, they want to accelerate the learning process and get down to it. So they're just going to go to a Mount Everest workshop where they can learn from the masters and buy all the tools and equipment they need, the picks and the shovels and the ropes and the rebounders and everything they're going to need to go climb the mountain. They're going to just get it all at once. People want to, once somebody has decided they want to do a thing, once they've jumped the broom in step 2 and they're like, yeah, I decided I'm going to do that thing. I'm going to go be a videographer now like Chris. So what's the fastest way for me to do it? Well, I'm just going to come to Austin, Texas, this big workshop Chris has cooked up. And he's going to really sit down with me hand to hand. And I'm going to learn this from the master. Well, guess what Chris is going to do if he's smart? He's going to have a big equipment package for $20,000 sitting there for you when you get there that he sells you. Because now you've got the knowledge, you've got the confidence, you've got a mentor, you need tools. There's almost no job that doesn't require tools, either soft tools or hard tools to do. So when you're in that third box, you're selling the things that are going to get them to the goal the fastest with the least amount of effort, because we're all naturally lazy. We don't mean to be, but we are. If you, and just efficient. If I give you let's say for instance on step 1, I give you a map, the gold map. Okay. Here's where the gold is in Utah, right? There's gold here. Right. There's no gold over here. Right. Well, you've got some information. It's useful, but it's incomplete. You follow?
Yeah, because I don't have a way to go get the gold.
You don't know how to get gold. So now I'm going to teach you my gold mining course for this.
And then I'm going to buy
X dollars.
$100,000 in gold mining equipment.
Well, then you're going, depending on your confidence level, right, at that point, You might buy a pan and a pick and a shovel, but if you really believe you super confident, you might go buy a box of dynamite and a bulldozer and an automatic sleuth, because you're going to go out and, I think it's what they call those things, sleuth, I think it's called, where it pumps thousands of gallons of water through and the gold falls out. You might make that investment. That's all going to depend on the confidence level of what they've learned from you so far.
Where you delivered in the tripwire.
If you haven't delivered a lot in the tripwire in step 2,
right,
then they're going to be reticent to make that big purchase, that
on step 3,
that big commitment in step 3. So get them to a live event. You can't beat belly to belly. There's nothing that beats it as far as as far as selling goes. Plus, they're in a community where there's plenty of people around. Like if you go to a Driven, we invite people to come to Driven Mastermind from time to time. They pay a one-time fee to come. Well, gosh, the conversion rate to Driven is almost 100%, because you got 10 people that come in a room of 100 multimillionaires and sit there for 3 days.
Right.
What are you going to do at the
2
end?
days.
You're going to go back to your dull ass life back in the cubicle to being mediocre? No.
We've cultivated something at Driven, which you have to cultivate on the step 3, which is above everybody else for the same price. And that's the thing. It's above everybody else's step 3 at the same rate of everybody else's step 3. And I think that's what really kills it in our conversion and our attrition.
Yeah, that step, I keep going back to my glasses because I'm blind as a bat. I hate it when they catch me off camera and I'm like, Paul's putting his glasses back on.
I love that he calls himself Paw.
I call myself Paw now. She calls me Paw all the time. So you just got to remember in step 2, what you're selling is confidence. And my old business partner, Ryan Dice, who's a very brilliant guy, one of the best lessons I ever learned from Ryan, he said, this entire business is about one thing, and that's the transference of confidence. If you can transfer your confidence, that's the problem. That's the problem I see with a lot of people. Like we have people in some of our groups that come up and say, well, I want to teach this thing. Well, have you ever done that thing? Do you have a track record in that thing? Are you successful in that thing?
Almost never.
Almost never. But they're going to go teach it, and they haven't done it yet.
My favorite is watching you teach something Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then on Friday, they've put out their offer of teaching the same thing. Yeah. I think that's by far my favorite.
Well, at least they got more knowledge than the average bear.
I mean, at least go do it, though.
Yeah.
At least go do it once, though. Go do it one time.
Or, the other thing you can do, this is the honest way to do that. And Jason Fladlin, our partner in Driven, says this all the time. He says, say, hey, look, I got a theory. I got a theory that this thing's going to work. So I'm going to go do it. And if you're going to you want to come watch me do it and see if I screw it up or if I make it work, you can. I'm going to charge you a little bit of money to do that. And if I'm right, you got a great deal because it's going to be a lot more later.
A lot more later.
And if I'm wrong, you get to see the great Jason Fladlin fall on his ass, which is worth the entertainment value of a few bucks, right? So there's a way.
It's a brilliant concept.
It really is.
Smart guy.
We did it with a book funnel. We did a book thing once. We did number 1 books. This was the biggest product we ever did at Digital Marketer. We did $6-something million of that thing. And the pitch was, hey, this is Ryan, and I'm going to write a book. And I want to sell 1,000 copies of my book in the next 10 days. And you get to watch me either win or fail. And what was great about that, it was completely transparent. Every day we show what we were doing and we showed the results. We missed the goal. We only sold 721 copies of the book or something.
What year was that?
Oh, 1923.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And no, I don't remember. It was.
It's just, it's amazing to me how times have changed and things have changed because 1,000 book launches are now, you fail at 30,000 book.
But you don't. You fail at 30,000 books if your goal is to sell a book.
I'm just saying it's just fun. It's same thing on the lead generation side. Your goal isn't to sell the book, but it's just how things have changed and evolved. And what I love about the 4, I'm going to let you get back to it, but what I love about the 4 boxes and what I was trying to get to is same idea, same book launch for me this year is like the minimum bar of entry is 30,000. Yeah. As it was for him, but the 4 boxes is still relevant from 1924 when you first created it all the way
1924
all the way to 2024 to today. it stays relevant. And that's what
It'll
I love
always
about
be
this.
relevant.
And that's what I wanted to point out was this. And I know it's hard for you to keep up with me, but that's what I wanted to point out was the simple
Yes.
principles
I'm
of
terrified, petrified, stupefied in awe of your intelligence.
how it's timeless. And it will remain timeless as robotics continue
Won't matter.
to develop, as
It'll
AI
just accelerate
continues to develop.
speed-wise.
It'll just everything is just accelerated in count and in speed, and that was kind of the point.
But without
So-
strategy, people are still going to be lost as an Easter egg.
Right. And this, but what my point is the strategy works and it's timeless and it as these things evolve, it'll hold. You're not building a house of cards.
Yep.
You're building a structure and a future as things evolve.
Speaking of technology, there's a GPT that I built to help people build out in their business, the 4 boxes. It's going to be with the show notes. There's a Google Doc for every show that we do. It's awesome. And it'll be at trainwreckshow.com/boxes. So if you go to trainwreckshow/boxes, you can go get that Google Doc, download it, and the GPT's in there. So you can just enter your business in there and it'll kind of help you to fill out the 4 boxes for you.
I want to just go back for a second though, because, and I think you very often yell at me like, I teach this all the time and they never remember. And I also believe that people can only consume so much. And when we just talked for 40 minutes. So I just want to go back for a moment and put this together for people in a way that they can see, that they
We haven't
can
done the last
visualize.
box yet. You want to do that? Or you want to put it
We
together
should
at the end?
absolutely do the last boxlet.
Probably a pretty
first.
good idea.
Probably a pretty good idea.
Yeah. That third box is speed and automation. If you said, here's another simple example. Let's say that you're in the fitness business and you sell fitness equipment and you sell because you can downsell here. If you were selling a treadmill in step 2, if your first thing was walk yourself to skinny, get my, a little, by the way, this would be a great funnel. If you gave somebody a pedometer, a little bitty pedometer that counts their steps, right? And that was your tripwire. You can buy those for $2 out of China. And that was your tripwire. And then the next thing, you sold them a treadmill. You sold them a portable treadmill that they could walk on while they're working or take with them wherever. They had a portable treadmill. That was step 2. If in step 3, if you said, hey, people who bought this treadmill who also took this supplement while using the treadmill lost weight twice as fast, and they only had to walk on the treadmill half as much. Practically 100% of the people who bought the treadmill would also buy the supplement. Because everybody, once you've committed to a thing, once you've jumped the broom and committed, you want that thing quicker, faster, better.
Right.
You just want it quicker, faster, better with the least amount of effort. So this concept works. It doesn't matter. And things that go in there are software, live events, done for you. This is where done for you fits. People think done for you is their highest ticket. And most of the time it's not. For me, it's not. Done for you goes in the speed and automation block. Because what's the ultimate speed and automation? I'll just do it for you. The ultimate speed automation to dinner is Grubhub, right? You just get it delivered or go out to eat. So done for you really, really, really fits in. And then the 4th box is where a ton of money comes in, but it's only applicable to a smaller amount of your audience. And you're going to find that as you go through the 4 boxes, generally, not always, each box, you're going to lose a good segment of your audience. They're not all going to carry through. The person who buys the person who buys the pedophile, the person who buys the pedometer, I almost said pedophile,
The person who buys.
Okay, so this guy comes home one afternoon from work and his girlfriend's at the door and she says, I was watching the news today and I think you're a pedophile. And he says, well, that's an awfully big word for a 12-year-old girl. Okay, so the pedometer.
What the is wrong?
It's just a little pedophile joke.
Like, what in the actual
who's that going to
is
offend?
wrong with you?
Who's that going to offend?
I don't know. The 2 guys who have 12-year-olds sitting on the couch, asshole. God damn, Perry. What is the matter with you? So the pedophile.
The pedometer.
The pedometer.
Yeah. So not everybody that buys a pedometer is going to buy the treadmill. Not everybody that buys the treadmill is going to buy the supplement. And then at the end, you do have another category, and this is really applicable oftentimes to B2B, but it's applicable to everything, is advisory. This is where the real money comes in. So in the fitness space, this would be, let's hire a trainer to come to your home every day for $100 a day and make sure you ride the fucking treadmill. You follow? Mm-hmm. So it's applicable everywhere. You could be selling a $2 cooking gadget on the front, and on the end, you could be selling fly to Los Angeles and cook with Wolfgang Puck for a weekend. I used to sell an offer years ago. The first information offer I ever sold was for this bass fisherman guy named Bill Dance. He's a very famous fisherman. He does TV fishing. And we sold his blooper reels. His first thing we sold was a blooper reel for $8.95, I think. And then we would sell his mastery courses of fishing. And it went all the way down to, for $10,000, you could go to Tennessee, get on a John boat, and go fishing with Bill Dance for a day for $10,000. And there was a small percentage of people who bought that. But the thing is, those big ticket small percentages are what round out the large numbers in a business, where people go, my top end's $100,000 a year. If you've got a company and you're about to exit that company, I'll help you exit the company for $100,000 a year plus points on the exit. It's a lot. Do I get a lot of those people? No, I get a handful. But boy, it sure does feel good when you get one, But you start off casting that net in the beginning, and you pull up what you get. And you're going to pull up people. I'm reading a book right now that Em and I are reading at the same time, and it's called the Courage to be Disliked. And there's a part in it where they're talking about everyone is trying to be better. No matter what you think, they are trying to be better. You think people are fighting against themselves or not. They're trying to be better. But we're all going down this stream of embetterment, but we're at different places in the river.
Yeah, everybody has a different perception. Everybody's on a different timeline.
Yeah, and the person may be more successful than you because maybe they had a better family than you had. Maybe they had a better education than you had. Maybe they had more resources than you had. Maybe they just been doing it longer.
Maybe it was just luck. Doesn't even matter.
Maybe it's just sheer ass luck.
But
maybe they got a break. Matter. Yeah, I think more often than not, it's sheer ass luck. I
think we make our own luck.
I could attribute the vast majority of my success to luck, but I'm always in the stream. You're not going to float down the river faster or slower than the other guy if you're sitting on the bank.
I just think that's such a poor depiction of your journey. You've had some luck. I've had a
lot of bad luck.
You've had a lot. You were whining about it this morning. You've had a lot of bad luck. But the thing is that we exchange for things.
Sure. But you learn from the
things, and then you start to make better intuitive decisions based upon the failures that you've had.
I certainly do. After 6 or 7 times.
Well, yeah, I
usually don't do that again.
I mean, some of us learn it once. But, some of us have to get hit in the head a few more times.
You get that, I'll hurry up, that last box. But that last box, remember the mission of each box. Box 1, curiosity. It's getting the spider into the web, right? It's not the spider. It's getting the fly into the web, right? The second step is building their confidence and belief that they can do the thing. The third step is they believe the thing now. They're going to speed and automation. They want to make it faster and better, cheaper. The fourth box, and this is where everybody screws up advisory. I do a lot of advisory. We do masterminds, advisory, and private consulting, right? And there's a little bit different in each one. Private consulting for me means I'm getting some equity in the company. Advisory means I'll give you advice, but I'm not taking equity, but I want money. I want pretty big money because I'm not getting equity. And then masterminds are where you come in and you're involving yourself in a community of people, some much more successful than you, usually. If you're in a good mastermind, you'd like to be the poorest person in the room if you're lucky. But the purpose of that fourth box is what everybody screws up in this process. They're not there to learn more at that point. They don't want to learn anything. They're there for certainty and mistake avoidance. The vast majority of the people that pay me the most money already know what to do, when to do it, how to do it. They're calling me going, hey, I'm about to do blank. What do you think? My highest ticket people, the vast majority of the time, that's what the conversations are like.
Because you already ate the shit.
Because I've already eaten the shit,
You've already eaten the shit. So why am I going to eat the shit?
Right.
I'm going to pay you $30,000.
Right.
to be part
I'm
of.
a professional shit eater.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Seriously.
I've had every flavor, but yeah, and it's really smart, they,
with every additive.
yeah, with people that, they say people are smart, learn from their mistakes. The people are really smart, learn from other people's mistakes.
Right.
That's the secret. And when you can get to that level of advisory and believe it or not, and I know Emma can talk to this, the further down you go in that stack to number 4, you charge more and more money and you do less and less work.
Yes.
It's crazy. The people that pay you the absolute most money will be the least pain in your ass.
favorite. They're always my favorite clients. The one who paid me the least always expects so much more. I want to go back though, because you've said over and over and over again that you've taught these concepts so many times. And a lot of times we get in rooms with people where you taught the concepts, but they didn't really grasp them. So I want to go back in a different way, in a way that I feel like they'll be able to visualize it.
Okay.
So I want to go from box 1 to box 2 to box 3 to box 4, staying focused without too many off-color stories,
sure,
if you can, or jokes.
Mm-hmm.
And talk me through, let's talk about Ignite.
Why do you need a joke when you got those shoes, huh?
What are you talking about?
Go ahead.
These are Louboutin hot chicks. What the fuck are you talking about? These shoes are great.
My grandma's wallpaper.
You're an
With red
idiot.
heels.
Okay, so these are great, right? Yeah. Fuck him anyway. Doesn't know what he's talking about.
Chris agrees to everything. He's always so nice to you.
Chris agrees that you're an idiot. You're right. Right, Chris?
Extra.
Yeah. Yeah, those are really nice, huh?
You must pay him extra.
Yeah, he's also Puerto Rican, so.
You can always tell if your wife's going to like shoes when you bring them home. You just hold them up here and see how they look in the mirror.
Okay, so box 1, talk me through Ignite. Talk me through what the tripwire for Ignite is. Then let's move directly into, I'm the buyer. Walk me through the entire funnel so that people can actually visualize what this is.
Yeah. So with Ignite, typically speaking, we would start with either straight up just the $98 offer for a workshop, or a laminated sheet like a $6 tripwire for the $98 workshop.
Yep. So we got 2 funnels. One's a laminate and one is a workshop.
If you stay traditional, let's stay traditional for a minute. You'd start with like a $7 tripwire of 4 laminated sheets explaining a concept. They're useful but incomplete. Step 2 would be, hey, great, you got these laminates. I'm teaching a live workshop on this subject for $100 in a few days. So somebody buys the live workshop. They're in the live workshop. That's a deliverable for a membership. So there's a lot of members in there. There's a little secret to that.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of friendlies in there. Now, if your membership sucked, that'd be the worst thing for you. But our members love Ignite. They're fucking nobody ever leaves. It's such a great value. So they're in there.
Hashtag Ignite family.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're out there telling the other people in the Zoom, hey, idiot, why aren't you a member? Right. So they're helping us to get more members into the group.
Organically.
Yeah, organically.
We're not pushing them to this at all. He's giving concepts and he's talking about Ignite, and this is happening on our step 2.
And then those people are joining the Ignite Mastermind group, which is really more of a network than anything else. But that comes with software, meetings, live events, all the things. Basically, what we did with Ignite was we created a speed and automation bucket with everything you could possibly want: community, advice, technology, everything, coaching, in one box. So it's like the ultimate offer. Whether you buy that offer or not, you really should go to ignitemastermind.org and just read it, because it's a really masterfully put together offer. But it creates everything that you could ever want in box 3. Then some of those people, their goal is to get from wherever they're at in their business to $1 million a year gross. That's the goal of that group. Every time I talk to somebody in that group, they're always like, I'm like, if the good people, right? The people that are really moving, I'll say, how you doing? I said, man, I'm getting close. I want to be in Driven next year. I want to be in Driven next year. I'm going to be in Driven next year. So they're already wanting to ascend without me selling them. Mm-hmm. I'm not selling them to join Driven. In fact, Driven's sold out. It's full. And you really have to, we get 1 or 2 a month that open up maybe, and we don't try to sell it because we don't need to. It just sells. But the pipeline that is Ignite with 700 and change members in it, anytime we get an opening in Driven, we've already got people sitting at Ignite that are kind of graduating out of that community into the next. So And then when they're in Ignite, I go a step further. The people that are in Ignite that are paying 30 or 35 grand a year, I forget what it is now, Driven, that are paying 30 or 35 grand a year to be a member of our big ticket mastermind. There's a handful of them every year that decide they're ready to exit. And when they're ready to exit, I have an exit consultancy that's 100 grand a year. So it goes all the way to for me, a fifth box, right? And you can have multiple levels of that advisory. You could have a mastermind, you could have advisory, and you could have equity partnership. So those are the 4 boxes. And the booger is after box 2, I always say there's that water line there, right? Where everybody stops, but they're stopping and spiking the ball on the 5-yard line when all the money is just a few feet away. The vast majority of the money you're going to make, because what you're going to make in box 1 and box 2, ad costs are going to eat that. Affiliate costs are going to eat that. So it's going to eat a lot of your profit out of box 1 and 2. The beautiful part is box 2 and box 3 and 4, you've already absorbed all the marketing costs. So your profit margins soar in box 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah. So I hope people get it now a little bit better.
Yeah. Also, www.trainwreckshow.com. If you go there,
/boxes.
www.trainwreckshow.com.
/boxes.
You go ahead and take us out then.
I don't know what to say.
Right, because you're an idiot.
Do your job.
So stop interrupting me because I will get to it.
Do your job for once.
Jesus Christ. I mean, tell you every day you should fire me.
I'm going to fire you next week.
Perfect. You pay me between now and then. You fucking dipshit. Trainwreckshow.com. Go there, subscribe to whatever you listen to podcasts on. If you go to /boxes, we'll not only have there for you the GPT that Perry talked about, we'll have in the docket, I'll have the GPT, and we have a few infographics on the 4 boxes, so we'll put those in there. So remember to like and subscribe so you get all of the future stuff that we put out. If I don't kill him first before the next episode, but
she's never gonna kill me.
I've been poisoning you slowly for the past year.
You
think you're tired. You think you're tired.
I think
it's not that you're getting old. It's the fucking rat poison.
Somebody Google the symptoms of arsenic poisoning.
It's been rat poison.
Yeah. I'm the most fun. I'm really rich and I'm always in trouble. You're never gonna fire me.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Trainwreck. See you next time.
Thanks.
You couldn't shave for the occasion?
I'm shaving my balls.
What did you just say?
Nothing.
I think at the end of every episode.